we've got to, we can pray about it, but the worst thing that we can do is to tell somebody, like, get over it. Like, no, like, we can't just get over it. We've got to fight. And it's, like I said, spiritual warfare. It's depression's kind of one of those funny things that it can sneak up and affect anybody. And genetic. So for me, I'm chemically predisposed to have depressive thoughts, actions, and things like that. Now, my father did pass away when I was younger, around 13 years old, but before that,
Hey guys, it's Jamie bringing you another episode of Recovery Inspired Hope. And I've got my friend Cleveland here today, and we're talking about something a little bit different. Make sure you subscribe to Jamie Tall on YouTube. So today we're going to be talking about depression. So Cleveland, will you tell us a little bit about your experience with depression?
Absolutely, Jamie. Thank you so much for having me here. So my name's Cleveland Miller. We're here in Athens, Georgia. I'm a father of two and married. Life's going pretty doggone well, but it's depression's kind of one of those funny things that it can sneak up and affect anybody. And for me personally, it's been a struggle for the last, maybe like 20 years, I would say. Like I would say as a child, I would have these thoughts that weren't really good, and as I got older, I started to recognize that these things were not really normal, and that's not how normal people thought. So for me, my experience with depression has kind of been a lifelong adjustment, and creating guardrails and things like that for myself to really get a hold and not let it take control.
Wow. And so normally now in my world, in the recovery realm with us, we would have self-medicated.
Right,
with drugs and alcohol when we felt, stuff like that. So that's amazing that you were able to, find other things and not go down that road.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly. Instead, I would just, let myself bury in depression and have all sorts of issues like that.
Right,
yeah.
Right. So are there different things that can trigger depression?
Absolutely. So there's actually three forms of triggers for depression, I would say, from the research that I've done. And so the first is, situational. So let's say a family member passes away, something that really just throws you into the depths of depression. That's going to cause all sorts of woes. The next one is genetic. So for me, I'm chemically predisposed to have depressive thoughts, actions, and things like that. Now, my father did pass away when I was younger, around 13 years old, but before that, I was having these thoughts and feelings of suicide and depression and things like that, even at like 8 years old. Wow. And so for people like me, it's kind of one of these, again, I was born that way. It's through my grandparents, my mom, people like that have all suffered from it. And then you've got chemical dependency, right? So you're on a drug, and then you finally decide to make that turn and become clean, and your body is used to having all those uppers and things like that, and now they're gone. And so then you're just totally thrown into the depths of it. And so those are kind of the three types that we have.
Awesome. So now this is National Suicide Prevention Month.
Yep.
So I'm so glad that we're able to do this talk and to bring awareness. What kind of coping skills could somebody use, like if they have depression?
There's so many things that you can do, right and wrong, and the right way is, you kind of gotta sit back and take a look and just think what God has given you. It's kind of one of those, you can't do something like that. You can't dig out of depression on your own. Right. Now, talking is a huge thing, massive. I've got one of my best friends, if I'm feeling down, because again, I've got, a business here in town, I'm married to a beautiful woman, I've got two great kids, but still I get down. And sometimes I just call my best friend and I'm just like, hey man, I want to kill myself. And he's like, well, that's still silly. And I'm like, okay, thank you for telling me that. And so it's talking about it. The worst thing that somebody can do if they're depressed or suicidal is to hold it in and think that nobody cares, because people do care. People do care about you and want to help. So that's one thing, is talking about it, either professionally or with a counselor, with friends, with a family member, somebody that you can trust. That's huge. The next coping mechanism that I have is I'm a runner. Anybody that knows me will say, oh yeah, he's the running guy. And people are like, oh, he loves running. No, I hate it. But but it's really,
but it works.
It works, and it gives me exactly what I need.
Yes.
And you know, Jamie, I know you. I see you're a gym rat. I see you at the gym all the time. And other friends are lifters, and so that's another thing, is just getting the body active and moving and doing those things. And remember, you don't have to be able to run 15 miles or lift 400 pounds. Like walking for 30 minutes a day is a great way. Getting out in the sunshine and the nature, hearing lawnmowers, it's a thing to do, and it'll make you feel good.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so I know that you're like a spiritual person like me, right? So do you think that depression is like a spiritual thing? I mean, you know, some
warfare.
People, yes, in church, but some people say, like, you know, why can't we just pray it away?
I mean, like, you know, you gotta give it to God, absolutely. Yeah. But like, you know, it kind of reminds me of the story of the preacher and the flood, right? The town is flooding, and you know, somebody in a Jeep comes by, is like, "Preacher, time to go." He's like, "No, the good Lord's going to take care of me." Well, the water rises, and he still has church, and somebody comes by in a boat, and it's like, "Preacher, we got to go." He's like, "The Lord's going to take care of me." Water is now to the roof. The preacher's on the roof. A helicopter comes and is like, "We got to go." And it's like, "Lord's going to take care of me." And then he dies, and then he gets up and he's talking to Jesus, and Jesus is like, "Well, I sent a Jeep, a boat, and a helicopter," you know. And so like, we've got to, you know, we can pray about it, but the worst thing that we can do is to tell somebody, like, get over it. Like, no, like we can't just get over it. We've got to fight. And it's you know, like I said, spiritual warfare. Not to throw Satan at you, but like, you know, I think that depression is a very real life version of a lie that Satan can give to you. And it's that, like, you know, nobody cares about you. False. Nobody's going to miss you. False. This is the best it's going to get. False. And it's these things that just are not true. And I think that is truly the devil coming at you with all sorts of, not to throw Satan at you, but like, you know, I think that depression is a very real life version of a lie that Satan can give to you. And it's that, like, you know, nobody cares about you. False. Nobody's going to miss you. False. This is the best it's going to get. False. And it's these things that just are not true. And I think that is truly the devil coming at you with all sorts of lies. And it's you know, again, you gotta talk about it. You've got to do something about it, and you've got to be active to fight against it.
Yes. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
That was super enlightening. So we have here for you the suicide hotline number, 1-800-273-8225. I will put that in the edit so that this number comes across the screen. National Suicide Prevention Lifeline is 24 hours. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Thanks for having me. And remember, like, life gets so much better. If I had stopped where I wanted to stop about 10 years ago, I wouldn't have met my wife. I wouldn't have these two kids. And I want to be here talking to you about the importance of just fighting and getting over it.
That's right. That's right. Thanks so much, guys. Make sure you subscribe to Jamie Tall on YouTube for more recovery-inspired hope. Bye.